There we are, live. Yeah. Okay. Good morning. Good evening. Welcome to Sunday Night Live, Sunday morning, Monday morning live. We're just alive. That's all. We're alive. Yeah. And today is when? It's today. What time is it now? There we go. We're on time. We made it to now. Couldn't really be late for such a thing. And yeah, here we go. Wow. Upstate New York. Your thoughts on Phuket? Phuket, yes, Phuket, absolutely. Okay, so do we have to be? Should I be? Are we there? Hey, good morning, Mara. Yay. Another upstate New York. Perfect. Wait, what is this one? This one is just 1 second, you guys. Just a real minor thing here. We're not going to be doing. There we go. Come on. There we go. Yeah. Well, whatever. Okay. So here we are. Good morning. Good evening. Okay, behind them. Tons of questions. Beautiful. All right, cool. Let's get started. Um, what are we? We want to be on. There we go. There we go. There we go. There we go. All right, cool. Great. All right, so good. Let's get started. So today is oh, please share about abscopal effect. I will do that. Thank you for reminding me. Why don't I start out with that? Um, okay, let's go over to here. There we go. Yeah. All right. Roll. Wow, these are so what do you call it? So I mean, it's like looking through a magnifying glass. Do I have anything like less? I think these are less intense. Yeah, a little bit better. Okay, that's better. Boy, those other ones are too much. Okay, so let's get started. Reminder, you're very welcome, everyone. Yeah. I'm so happy to be here as well. So, by the way, you have CFCs and it's active right now, and you're anywhere near North America, get over to an Oasis of Healing in Arizona. We've been doing this for 21 years now, and we're starting to get good at it. Yeah. So, anyway, long before all the ones that have popped up. So, we kind of helped develop this whole process. And yeah. So anyway, just want a couple things to as a reminder. Remember, we have three groups, and the reason we have three groups. By the way, CFC, if you don't know, chronically fermenting cells. For those of you who don't know, that's really what when they talk about the word cancer, which is an astrological sign. Period. They mean chronically fermenting cells, and that's a more useful term because it communicates information and no fear, and that we need to deal with information and not be freaked out with fear. Freaked out with fear. FOWF. No FOF. No FOF. No freaked out with fear. Okay. All right. Cool. So, anyway, so we have three groups because on these, I can see lots of questions coming up here, and sadly, I can't respond to them because I have a lot of questions that were sent in, and I need to respect that and answer those questions. However, in order for us to have live and continuous interaction, that's the whole reason we have these groups: the health and healing group, parasite group, and the CFC group. And that way we interact and we dialogue. I ask you, what do you mean by that? Did you get this or that? We can really focus in on what your real question is, because I know how hard it is to sit there and say, "Oh, I'm going to write the question," and you might leave some important stuff out just because that's the way we are as humans. Um, So anyway, join those, and you go to drlodi.com, 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 and you look right there, and you're going to see you got 3 groups you can join. That's how you join. All right. Now there's this weird one on Telegram. It's called the Dr. Thomas Lodi Community. That's not me. And of course, Telegram doesn't care. I've complained formally multiple times, and they just leave it up. So it's still there, and it doesn't. I'm not. It's not me. They're using my name. Shouldn't that be illegal? It should be, but that's the old world. That old world. The new world is anything goes. Anything goes. All right. Now big business selling tampons to men. Yes, this is the new world, right? And you got to be careful on a boat, because if you're on a boat, in the ocean, you could go over the side, because this is flat. We're on a flat disc. Oh, all right, so here we are. Anyway, so by the way, we're doing the human diet, which is a really fundamental and critical part of healing, and it's never, for some reason, it's never. There's so much misinformation. It's crazy. So that's why I put together this webinar. It's got like 4 parts, right? Nature's design. How did nature design us to eat, right? The second one is called Cooked Food is Poison. And the third one is, what does the research say? So it's great. You have all your opinions. What does the research say? Fourth one is exposing the myths like oxalates, anti-nutrients, lignans, soy, all that stuff, all those myths. We're going to expose them with research to show you that what are myths and what are not myths. Okay. So we keep postponing that one because we need to get a lot of people to sign up for it. I don't want to waste such an important webinar. Okay, so get the word out. That's part 4. And just go to drlodi.com and you'll find out when it's going to be. All right, and as a reminder, at Dr. Thomas Lodi is how you find us on Rumble, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram. Right? I said, yeah. And then for X and TikTok, it's at Dr. Thomas Lodi MD. MD has to be in there because they had my name before, and they I don't know. They deleted me. They canceled me. I was canceled. Anyway, that's that. Fred Sanford with his eyeglasses drawer. Fred Sanford. All right. All right, cool. Now, there was a request that I start out with talking a little bit about the abscopal effect. And I thought that might be, I think it might be a good way to start out, because has anyone heard of that? The abscopal effect. All right. Not sure if you've all heard of it. All right. Well, it's a pretty interesting phenomenon, and apparently rare. Keep getting these same questions. Okay. Sorry, I'm distracted. Okay. Anyway, the abscopal effect. What is it? It's when one tumor somewhere is being treated directly with something like radiation or local hyperthermia or radiofrequency ablation or cryoablation, or anything to directly affect the tumor, and the result is not only that tumor shrinks, but multiple other tumors. Milgram experiment. Not sure what that is. Zimmerman. I always think of Bobby Dylan, but I'm not sure what is meant by Zimmerman. So you knock out the first tumor, and then all the other tumors seem to shrink down. And how does that happen? And that happens because when the therapy you're using, like let's say radio frequency ablation or cryo cryoablation or just irradiating a tumor, any of that sort of stuff, it causes necrosis of the cell. So it's not apoptosis, it's necrosis. And that necrosis causes the cell to split apart. And now all of these fragments are there that the immune system can become aware of and develop a response. So rather than the whole cell where the immune system is just going to be looking at the antigens that are on the surface of the cell, when you break it open, you've got all these multiple antigens. And so that stimulates an immune response, which is systemic wide, and it shrinks them down. Now, it doesn't happen all the time, but it does happen. And you can increase its likelihood of happening in several ways, right? So keep in mind, the tumor splits apart. So just like in any kind of wound or or trauma or anything like that, dendritic cells and macrophages are the Marines in the trenches, and they show up and they take bites out of this stuff and they bring it back to the T cells that are hanging out on the lymph nodes waiting. Because the T cells, after they're born in the bone marrow, they go to the thymus gland to get educated, and then they're completely trained as assassins. Then they go hang out in the lymph node where they have coffee and stuff. They sometimes they play cards, but most of the time they're alert and vigilant and waiting. And then here comes the macrophages and dendritics showing up with fragments of cells, and so then the T cell that was what they call a naive T cell didn't have any purpose in life except to drink coffee, now has a purpose. I'm going to get that, and that's what happens. And so it's kind of stimulating the immune system to function, right? And the real quickly, we do that also. There's an ozone treatment called minor autohemo, and minor autohemo. Kevin, what are you talking about, Kevin? You guys, man, weird. Talk about random. Anyway, minor autohemo is when we draw out some blood, 10 cc's, and we mix in 10 cc's of ozone. You have a big 20 cc syringe, and you shake it vigorously so the cells break apart, just like we're talking about with that abscopal effect of getting the primary tumor. Break it apart, then you give that ozonated, traumatized blood as an injection intramuscularly, either into your gluteus back there or here, deltoid, big muscle. Of course, that goes in. That's a trauma. So the dendritic cells and macrophages show up. It's the same kind of thing. So we used to do that every 3 days. Oops, we lost you. Am I back on now, you guys? Hammy, am I back on? Oops, it lost me. Okay, my God. Yeah, oops. Okay, we're gonna have a lot of oopses today. I can tell we've already started with our oopses. So anyway, we used to do minor autohemo, which differs than major autohemo, which is the way you put ozone into the blood and all that sort of thing. But so minor autohemo, we do that every 3 days. So because what it does is it's kind of a reminder to the immune system of what's going on. Okay, great. You can hear me. Good, cool. Never went away. See, they're just trying to freak me out. Yeah, they're good at it. They're really good. They've learned how to freak me out. Now, of all the targeting therapies on a tumor directly, the one that seems to be the most effective and also the least damaging to non-tumor cells is something called histotrypsy. And that's just where you use really high intensity sound waves to break it up. And we used to do that with, I guess we still do, but that was one of the ways you'd break up kidney stones that were in the kidneys, and they were so big they couldn't fit down through the ureter, and they caused excruciating pain. So they called it extracorporeal um, histotripsy, or I forget the exact term, but extracorporeal means outside of the body, sending sound waves in. They shattered the stone that was in the kidney, so it turned into like grains of sand that just came down easily. So that's how that works. So now we're using it for tumors, which is a great idea. All right. Local hypothermia does it, radiation therapy does it. And so remember that uh, the thing that limits any therapy on a tumor is going to be poor accessibility, and that poor accessibility comes about because of the blood vessels that supply a tumor are like spaghetti, and they have no control mechanisms, and so they're just kind of like that, and so they continually break apart. So now you lost your flow again, and that stimulates that's low, and then you wind up getting hypoxic in that area because the blood vessel broke, so you're not getting oxygen there, and that hypoxia stimulates the growth of new blood vessels and new tumor proliferation, and so these new blood vessels are growing so quickly they don't have the required amount of time to become healthy blood vessels that are innervated with the autonomic nervous system to control flow. They don't have that, right? And so that's the problem. So how do you increase tumor accessibility? Exercise, moving around is going to keep blood flow happening, right? Um, you know, that's one way. Um, Whole body hypothermia, increasing the blood flow all over the body. Um, and uh, that does it. Um, and so anyway, there's lots of ways to enhance that, but that's what that is. I wish you wish I would. Okay, so I'm gonna get into some of the questions on parasitics with regards to CFCs. Okay, but anyway, um, so there are ways of doing it, and one of the most important, if not the most important, is to control your stress. And stress is when you don't like what is, no matter what it is. You can be stressed out over getting a new job. A lot of people would be happy. You could be stressed out over something that makes sense, like someone standing there with a gun. It's kind of so. Anyway, stress is when you don't like what is, and as a result, your body goes into this. Your adrenal glands kick in. You've got this cortisol, and you've got adrenaline, and you're on fire. Okay, so that's it. What that does is shuts down your immune system, shuts down flow to all the organs except for your muscles and stuff. So stress really blocks out and just undoes everything. So you got to learn how to manage that. You learn how to manage that by turning off your mind. And how do you turn off your mind? Because you focus on one thing, like you're breathing for 2 minutes, 5 times a day. For 2 minutes, 5 times a day. You sit down, you put wherever you are, you find a place to be quiet for 2 minutes. Anybody can find 2 minutes. Go into the bathroom. You're at work, say I got to go to the bathroom. Go to the bathroom and put an eye mask on, earplugs if you need to, and just for 2 minutes, very intently listen to your breathing for as long as you can. And when you find yourself off in the should be land, come back quickly to that place. Just 2 minutes, 5 times a day. But be consistent, be religious. And eventually you're going to find what I'm talking about. You're going to wind up in a place called now, and your immune system goes through the roof. So you got to do that, okay? Now, of course, if you're very conventionally minded and you go to a regular doctor, they're going to give you beta blockers, because beta blockers block the physiological responses of stress. So they do work, but it's not something that you haven't developed any skills, so you're going to keep having this problem, right? Okay. And of course, the gut microbiome, and there are certain bacteria that we need, right? So the Akkermansia, the Bacteroides, Theodomicron, and these other ones are really important for enhancing that immune response that we're looking for from the abscopal effect. Okay. So anyway, um, that's it. I won't do more than that for now. But I just want you to know that exists, and it's something very to. Uh, so someone just put you on propranolol, your doctor. That's why, because your doctor doesn't know anything about how to reduce stress otherwise, and probably doesn't even know what they're doing. Just they read about it. It's a good treatment. I'm going to do this treatment. Why are you doing it? I don't know. Because it's in the protocol. You know, I got to follow protocol, right? Because I'm a yeah. Hi Tanya, Toina. All right, so okay. Whoa, we got a lot of questions here. Okay, now that's the abscopal effect. It's really, really, really an amazing thing. But all in all, it tells you too, even without having going after regular tumor, you can use that minor autohemo ozone therapy, and every 3 days, have your doctor do that. Uh, so anyway, let's consider that now. By the way, stress is when you don't like what is, okay? And you're not going to figure it out. You're not going to work your way out of it. You're not going to decide not to be stressed. You know, it's not an intellectual process that you can do. It's not thinking. Turn off your mind, relax, and float downstream. It is not dying. It is being. Who wrote that song? Anybody? Anybody who wrote that song? Turn off your mind and relax, and float downstream. Anybody know? Anybody? One of you got it. Not one. I'm sad. Anyway, the Beatles. All right, let's get into some questions here. Number one question is from Stacy, and yeah, so Stacy is asking. Uh, Hi, Dr. Lodi. Thank you for your response last week. I'm the one who's reading Jane McClellan's book. I'm dealing with metastatic breast CFCs. I have two questions, please. First, has it ever been known for a person with metastatic CFCs to become free of CFCs just by using the three antiparasitics such as niclosamide, bendazole, ivermectin, diet change, mindset, prayer, without blocking all pathways that Jane recommends in her book? So, first question, yes. The answer is yes. In fact, 2001, way back in 2001, we didn't, in those days, know about the antiparasitics. So we didn't use them. We didn't use any of the other repurposed drugs that Jane McClellan talks about. In those days, all we had was IPT, vitamin C, and ozone. And and not many people knew about IPT. I was fortunate enough to be trained way back then, early on, by Dr. Donato Perez Garcia, the third grandson of the man who invented IPT back in the teens, 1918, 1920. Anyway, so we didn't have all that. And I've shared this story before, and she didn't even want, after I had a good talk with her about how the whole healing, understanding of healing and health, and rather than the disease model. The disease model is a Rockefellerian construct that has you running around quickly chasing dragons and fairies. Okay? These dragons and fairies, you're chasing them. You can't catch them because they don't exist. What are we talking about by dragons and fairies and other mythological creatures? We're talking about the disease model, which is the BS model. Okay. There are no diseases. What the hell is this guy talking about? Is he a real doctor? Yeah, that's why I put these up here. I just because people are saying, "What kind of doctor is he?" One guy asked me, "What's your doctorate in?" Oh, well, I don't have it. It's an MD. It's not a anyway. So yeah. So I said there's no disease, and there are no diseases. The body. What happens is the body is a physiologically adapts to whatever it needs to adapt to maintain functional integrity. All right. That's the wired in mechanism in all biological entities. A tree, a bacterium, any biological entity is got this thing in it, this substance, this breath of life, this reality called life. And life says, I want to live. And and you got to push me over here. So it's, just think of life as a quarterback trying to get through all that. Okay. So life is the quarterback, and you're the ball. All right. And let's hope that quarterback's good. And it will be good if you feed it right. Take care of that quarterback, right? Feed it. Yeah. So anyway, but that's what life is, and life needs to live. So it adapts to any situation that it needs to adapt. Oh, there's too much water, it swims. Falling off the cliff, it flies. Now, this is how incredible it is. It can do that. These adaptive homeostatic responses are what the Rockefellers want us to believe. Yeah, and I'm talking about Rocky and his boys, right? Yeah, JD and his guys. I know one day they're gonna eliminate me. Maybe shoot me in the ear. But if they do, I hope there's a flag behind me. I'm just gonna stand up if they shoot me in the ear. Um, anyway, um, so there are okay. So there's nothing. There's nothing. These are adaptive responses. For example, I've got diabetes type 2 because I'm eating all this pasta and stuff. Stop eating the pasta. My body will no longer need to be insulin resistant. Okay. The same with any of them. I got an arthritis. They're inflamed, inflammation, arthritis in the joints, arthro. How do I get rid of? What do I take to kill it? I don't. I change my life and my biochemistry so that there is no inflammatory response, because inflammation is a response of the body to heal. So you have acute inflammation, which is going to be red hot, swollen, and painful. It's going to be, but a chronic inflammation is, and that's when you wind up with things like arthritis, gastritis, iritis, surfacitis. I mean, any itis, colitis. Um, anyway, so you eliminate the inflammatory response by eliminating those things that are stimulating it, which are toxins. So there are always toxins and stress. Toxins and stress are what, and the other thing that causes the body to try to really get inflamed is when it is being undernourished or overnourished. Actually, overnourishment is a misnomer, because overnourishment means you're getting a lot of stuff you don't need, and you're not getting enough of the stuff you do need. So it's not like you're not getting, because guess what? If you were eating real food, human food, you could not and wouldn't not overeat. It wouldn't be possible. It wouldn't be possible. And if you don't believe me, let's have a bet. But you got to be eating that way for at least a couple weeks so your body is adjusted. No, let me see you overeat. I want to see you eat too many salads, too many apples. Not going to happen. I mean, if you're not eating anything else, that's all you eat, right? You're not eating, bread and pizza. You're only eating uncooked plants. You cannot overeat. Anyway, so anyway, what are referred to as diseases are the body adapting, homeostatically adapting to maintain functional integrity in a situation where its needs are not being met and it is being thwarted by things it does not need, called poisons. All right. It's, it, it's that simple. I'm sorry, it's that simple. It's not complicated. Well, should I? Should I? Anything that the shoulds, the questions. If you think about what you're trying to do, right? What are you trying to do? You're trying to eliminate all toxins and provide only what the body needs. And if you do that, the body will be in a harmonic balance. And what it needs is it needs to go to sleep early. It needs to move around during the day. So it's not just the food, but the food needs to be food, and the food is the food that grows. It's what the earth provided, because the earth we arose out of the earth, by the way, right? Because we're called earthlings. But don't tell anybody. Don't tell anybody. Let's keep this a secret. But anyway, we are earthlings. Shh. And everything that we need is provided to us by the earth without augmentation. Really, can you believe that? We do not have to boil the grapes. We do not have to boil the apples. We don't have to barbecue the celery. We don't, to get the benefit. Well, if you barbecue celery, it's going to do what? Well, it'll taste better. It tastes better to people who are used to eating that way. Does it taste better to people that are not used to eating that way? No. Anyway, so the answer is yes. And I had this woman who refused to do even vitamin C or anything. She just said, "I'm gonna do what you said, because that is all I need." Everything went away. Everything went away. She didn't even do it with the vitamin C. Okay. Second question is, you recommend I take antifungal? I'm taking black seed oil. Do you think that's enough? I'm submitting this question again from last week. You weren't able to get to. Black seed oil, 1 teaspoon per day. I was thinking of moving up to 2 teaspoons per day. I also take fenbendazole twice a day, and niclosamide. Are you looking for it? Because the company I had suggested, niclosam.com, is apparently out of it for now, out of the medications. And you got ivermectin. Currently on nerlynxin and sepsidabine. Yeah, so right. So all the things you're talking about, yes. So I've kind of answered that. If you absolutely know you're going to heal, because you know that's all you need to do is restore balance, you will heal. Period. You will heal. And that's not anything that I came up with, or that's just called faith. Faith is when you know what's going to happen before it happens, not believe. Believing doesn't get there, because whenever you believe something, you are also doubting it. Belief implies doubt. Knowing is not doubt. When you know you're going to heal, you heal. Pretty powerful statement. Is it true? It's true. Thing is, most people don't know that they don't know that they're going to heal. They don't realize that they think maybe if okay. And how do you go from fear to faith? By knowledge. When you understand what's going on, you now have knowledge, and you know, well, gosh, if I do this, that'll happen, because that's just right. When you see it, well, yeah, I plant the seed and I'm going to water it, make sure the soil's good and all that, and I'm going to wind up with the tomato if I planted the tomato seed, right? I mean, unless there's something that comes in and blocks the process, that's going to happen. Just kind of know it. You don't believe it. I really believe if I water that seed and I have good soil, I believe it might turn into a tomato. Well, believing is not knowing. Knowing is knowing. Okay, you don't. Okay. Do I believe that 2 + 2 is 4? No, I know it is. Do you know it is? Okay. So anyway, you've got to come to know, and the way you come to know is with knowledge. And how do you get knowledge? Because you study and you look for it. All right, and you don't just follow directions. Well, he said, then she said, and I heard. Forget all that. Read, find out. You be the one. You be the one. Uh, Okay, I don't want someone's um, opin- opinion of having someone who read the Bible, and I'm gonna read their take on it. No way, I'm gonna read the Bible. I don't care what he thought or she thought. What do I think? So, anyway, that's that. So, by the way, so that's the thing. What you have to do is it's very important, Stacy, is that you understand that you've got to become to the point where you don't have to ask these questions because you know. All right, and just in case like for example, when we think of when we're talking about ivermectin and all that stuff, and all the other antiparasitics, how do they eliminate CFCs? How could they do that? These are antiparasitics. Um, and let me just give you a quickie here. Okay, so ivermectin, which is produced by a microorganism in the soil, um, what it does is fundamentally for the uh, for the parasite. What it does is it increases chloride ion through the cell membranes, right, which completely disrupts the cells. And um, in the parasite, it winds up producing GABA, GABA aminobutyric acid, and that paralyzes its nerves and it can't function and it dies through that way, right? So it just increases chloride ion flux. Okay, that's what it does. So, but it also it also turns out to inhibit mitochondrial complex 1, right? Um, and it reduces the number of reactive oxygen species or free radicals, right? Um, and therefore it uh, decreases all this oxidative stress that causes the cells to eventually ferment. Um, and it signals, the main thing is that, I think, is that it turns off these pathways. So the PAC1 kinase pathway, which you may not have heard of, but it is kind of a door at the doorway, at the gateway, that all these other pathways, such as the AKT mTOR pathway, WNT. There's all these other pathways that are NF kappa beta, ERK, all these things that you may not have heard of. You may have seen them in your readings, but they are biochemical pathways that are required for CFCs to exist and to be vibrant and well, right? And but PAC1 is right there, kind of at the beginning, and ivermectin inhibits it. That's a big, big, big deal. Okay, and um, the what do you call it? In fact, okay. So the PAC1 that we're talking about. Um, what is PAC1? You've heard of P53. You've heard of P53, which is a tumor suppressor gene, right? There's P53. There's also P21. There's also PTEN. But the P21, there's a P21 activated kinase, which is PAC1, right? And what it does is when you it would normally turn on all these pathways, including the WNT, B catechin, the MAP kinase, the AKT mTOR, all these pathways that would turn on. So if you block it, you block all of that. And that's when we're looking at breasts, lung, colon, prostate, cervical, all of the melanoma, it doesn't matter. They're all using the variety of these, different kinds of different parts of these pathways. All right. So it's tremendous what ivermectin does. Okay. So, because when you consider PAC1's pivotal role in the whole process of CFCs and blocking it, that's a major, major deal. So they're looking for ways of studying it now, and they've already got the answer, but forget that because we can't really make money on it. Right? So it even shows that in triple negative BC, oh my God, triple negative CFCs, breast CFCs, it actually helps. Yeah. They don't like that because they're not going to make a ton of money if we can make it better. Okay. How about liver CFCs? all right, usually related to what's called hepatitis B and hepatitis C worldwide, fourth leading cause. If you know, I mean, it's the fourth leading cause of CFC death worldwide. So it's pretty significant, right? Um, Ivermectin knocks it out. Prostate CFC and leukemia knocks it out, right? The chronic myeloid leukemias and prostate, all that knocks it out. Okay, that's ivermectin. And then we talk about fenbendazole. Again, fenbendazole it does so much stuff. It basically blocks the microtubules, which is what's a lot of the chemotherapy drugs do, right? That's what they do. I mean, a lot of the well-known uh, chemotherapy drugs like the taxanes and the vinca alkaloids. Taxanes, paclitaxel, uh, Taxotere, Taxol, those that I'm sure you've heard of those, and tubulin. So blocking this tubulin, because tubulin, these microtubules are how cells. They're kind of like the soft skeletons. And so when a cell needs to divide, which is what CFCs need to do, they need to keep dividing. It can't divide because if you block those microtubules, it can't divide. It can't move. All right, so you stop the whole thing. So, and that's what fenbendazole does, and mebendazole, etc. And right, but that's just one of the things it does. It also, activates the P38 MAP kinase pathway, which again, all these pathways that are activated are how these antiparasitics have relevancy to CFCs. Is because that's what they're doing. In addition to, as we talked before about the chloride and the CFCs, chloride entering and the parasites. It does all this stuff. It's pretty amazing. It's just incredible. And what's incredible is that they don't just say, okay, well, let's go with it. Let's study it. They don't do that. They're still looking for money and drugs. That's it. Just keep in mind. It's absolutely insane. So I just want you to understand how powerful this is. All right. Good. Now, let's look at the next question. And this is Gail. Yeah. She wants to know the breast CFC and psoriasis connection. Hi, Dr. Lodi. I'm a 45-year-old female. I have had psoriasis for many years and was diagnosed with early stage breast CFC almost 18 months ago. I had a few biopsies and then declined surgery and have been following an integrative healing path, diet changes, supplements, including many anti-inflammatories such as curcumin, off-label medications, mebendazole, fenbendazole, ivermectin, high-dose melatonin, low-dose naltrexone, high-dose vitamin C, detox, including infrared saunas, emotional work, dealing with trauma. Recently, I was looking into similar and various pathways of psoriasis and breast CFCs, and it seems that there are many similar pathways which promote both of these diseases. What did I hear? I heard that word, disease. It's a myth. But because you're using it, you bought into it, and you're on the Rockefeller train. And you know where the Rockefeller train ends? Everybody know? Where does the Rockefeller train end? Because wherever you get onto it, it takes you to the hospital. And does it go out? Which exit does it go out? The Rockefeller train. Anybody? That's right. The morgue. The morgue. Did I hear that correctly? You heard that correctly. All right. So get off that train. There's no diseases. I saw a disease over there. There's three diseases in the other room there. I even saw one right next to that COVID. There's a COVID on that desk. You see the COVID right next to it are two diseases. I don't know what they are, but they're diseases. How do you know? Well, I know. Anyway, so this is all madness. Okay, the body is adapting. That's it. The body is adapting. There's only physiology. There's no pathology. There's no pathology. There's physiology. There's adaptive physiology. Adaptive physiology. Period. It's not pathological. What's the pathological diagnosis? These guys are insane, evil. Anyway, so Let me just tell you, Gail, you're doing lots of really good things, and but you said diet changes. I don't know what that means. So that's why if you were in the groups, we could talk about what you mean by that and what supplements and how long have you been doing it and what dosage and what frequency and when do you go to sleep and how often do you practice turning off your thinking, your mind. And there's so many things I need to ask you. Um, but your real question here really is about the connection between psoriasis and breast CFCs, right? And so um, it's what's kind of crazy is that uh, the there is a relationship between psoriasis and breast CFCs and lung and colon and melanoma and lymphoma. Yeah, it turns out that there's a relationship between psoriasis and these, you know, and so if you look at the studies for this kind of thing, there's people that with breast CFCs have a 17% increase of developing psoriasis. Oh, okay. And conversely, having psoriasis is also associated with an increased risk of having breast CFCs. Not that big of a risk. I mean, not a risk. And I don't know what risk means, but anyway. Um, so basically, it was slightly increased compared to the general population when we were looking at breast. But we now know it's with other ones. You know, when they did a meta analysis where they look at multiple clinical trials and they try to come up with some conclusion based on multiple clinical trials instead of just one. And and then in this one there was one large one that was uh, called excuse me public published in 2023, and it was called the risk of breast CFCs among patients with psoriasis, a systemic review and meta-analysis. And basically what they found in the end was simply that mild to moderate psoriasis didn't really have a risk, an increased risk, did not have an elevated risk, uh, mild to moderate, and neither did the severe. So that was one study, right? And then there was other studies, the JAMA, that showed that, well, it did. It had not only that, it had an increased risk for colon, kidney, laryngeal, liver, CFCs, lymphomas, non-Hodgkin lymphomas, esophageal, oral, all these. In other words, pancreatic, you name it. Because we all know that CFCs are the only difference between pancreatic and breast and colon is the first word, not the second word. All right, because the first word is location, location, location. So wherever it is, wherever it's happening, is that's where it's happening. It's not different. It still has to meet specific qualifications, and that one specific qualification to call it chronically fermenting cell is that it is engaging in aerobic glycolysis, which is fermentation in the presence of oxygen, which normally doesn't happen. Fermentation is a process that occurs when there is no oxygen available. But when a cell is able to ferment and does ferment in the presence of oxygen, it's called aerobic glycolysis. And if it's doing that, it's a CFC. And if it's not doing that, it's not a CFC. So it's pretty much the definition. Okay. So location, location, location. That's all it is. There's not different types. There's only one type. It's called aerobic glycolysis. And it's going to be different in the ovary than it will in the eye because the ovary has different functions than the eye or the skin. So they have different functions. So those tissues do different things. But it's still fundamentally what's going on is that it's chronically fermenting cells because this is not complicated. It's too simple. And it's so simple, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. It's got to be complicated. And we got to have big words, and I've got to not know what you're talking about to believe you. If I don't know what you're talking about, then I know you're telling me the truth, right? Yeah, that's how we think, and that's how they want us to think, and yeah, sadly, most people do. All right, so anyway, um, so what is psoriasis? Psoriasis is, according to the Rocky and the Gang, psoriasis is an autoimmune condition. You know what that is, right? That's when the body, stupid body, I mean, stupid body starts attacking itself. Eh, You know, it, and I'll tell you how stupid this body is. It's engaging in um, sextillion chemical reactions every second. And a sextillion is 21 zeros. So 37 sextillion chemical reactions every second. Does that sound stupid to you? No. Especially since every reaction is dependent on the reaction next to it, right? Does it feed this way or feed that way? Or is that stupid? No. How about the fact that it's making at least 37 million new cells per second? Does that sound pretty stupid? Pretty stupid. No, it's not stupid. It's not stupid. It's beyond intelligence. It's beyond our capability of even knowing what's going on. We don't even know what's going on. We can't even observe what's going on because we don't know. We don't have the ability to comprehend it. So it's not stupid. Okay. It doesn't attack itself. Immune system's going, whatever's happening in nature, in biology, is happening because it must happen. It's called the law of necessity. So if the body is doing something, it's doing it because it has to, and there's a reason. So if the immune system is activated in one part of the body and doing whatever it's doing it because something is activating it. It doesn't just get bored and start activating itself or make a mistake. Make a mistake. Can you imagine? Nature does not make mistakes. It can't. All right. So we have to restore our reverence and our awe and our respect for nature and God, right? And not go running to these guys with the white coat, these guys and girls with the white coats who don't know anything. How can I say that? Because I know these guys. I went to school with them. I was in the hospital training with them. I worked with them after I finished training. I know them. And I wouldn't trust my life with them. So, I mean, some I would, of course. Of course, of course. Not all of them, but just 99.9%. That's it. That I wouldn't trust. So, anyway, um, psoriasis is an autoimmune condition. So therefore, what's that mean? That means the immune system has been disrupted. It's something's going on. So the immune system is like hyper in one area and shut down in another area, and it's just what they've defined as is autoimmune. So fundamentally, basically, what does one understand now? The immune system's in trouble. It's spinning its wheels in the wrong direction. The wrong direction. That's how we think. But it's doing what it needs to do. Anyway, that immune disruption, dysregulation allows for CFCs to develop. Of course, because you don't have the normal healthy regulatory processes that are the work of the immune system. The immune system is no longer in this situation is not able to perform the functions that it would because it's doing something else. It's been hijacked. All right, so of course CFCs can develop. So there's nothing specific about psoriasis. They like to draw these. They like to anything they can do to keep you scared, and researching ways to combat this, ways to militarily take over and kill something. I got to give me the name of that enemy. There wasn't the enemy is now triple negative. I got to So in other words, we get names of enemies, right? We get the boogeyman and we go after them. We're going to call this one a Saddam Hussein. We're going to call this one, what's his name? Uh, what's the other guy? Bin Laden. This was Bin Laden over here in. Oh, it's diabetes. I thought it was Bin Laden. My bad, my bad. But anyway, Bin Laden, diabetes, same thing. They're both. You got to get them. You got to kill them. Get rid of them. Right? Okay. I hope you can. You see, what I've learned over the years is that explaining things to people in a rational way doesn't work. Repeatedly doesn't work. So the way you can get through those blocks, those walls, is humor. Because when someone's laughing, you can sneak in. Shock. Did he say that? Yeah, it gets in. And one other way, it's called sarcasm. Sarcasm just kind of winds its way right in there. And without knowing it, you've got the point. So I learned to speak fluent sarcasm. I've been practicing while I went to school for it, and at the Sarcastic Academy, got straight A's. Yeah. So that's what I use. In case you didn't know. All right. So that's the psoriasis. So don't think about the psoriasis. They want you into this little segued rabbit hole where they're going to get you down there, and in the end they're going to hand you some drugs. That's the purpose of this. All right, and they're going to keep you scared and hand you drugs. 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 That's the name of the game. Okay, so anyway, I had people who had psoriasis, and I mean, I had a guy. It was just I've never seen anything since before or since, but the psoriasis was so bad, like good and bad. The psoriasis was so severe, so extensive, that every morning when he woke up, he had to change his sheet because there was about a quarter inch, half an inch of skin exfoliated that covered his entire sheet. And what did we do to help him? I taught him how to do nothing. And guess what happened when he did nothing? It cleared up. So what the hell is this guy talking about? When we look at those paper, it's called fasting, cleansing. We started with the juice cleanse, we went into water fast, and there was a few crazy nights there. But it took us about a month, and we were down to having just a few areas where people with moderate psoriasis would have, and then eventually it went away. But you have to be persistent. So that's that. I just want to tell you about when someone's got psoriasis with apparently not having any CFCs. And remember, as I said, psoriasis is an autoimmune inflammatory condition, right? So we also see associations with other diseases like Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis, which are autoimmune inflammatory, and they're also associated with CFCs, because what we're talking about is a disrupted immune system that precludes the required regulatory actions of the immune system, and so you wind up getting these things. That's why it's nothing specific to that. So get out. That's Rockefeller Ring, which ends at the what? Where does it end? The train. All aboard for. Right? Can you see him there? JD. All aboard for the morgue. All aboard for the morgue. All aboard for the morgue. Okay. Don't get on the train. All right. All right. And am I crazy? I guess so. Are they not crazy? I guess not. So I'll take the crazy group. Let's go to the next question. Gail, I hope you got that. Okay, this is Enola. And I was trying to find the link to order prescriptions for parasites, My main problem is Candida albicans. In my opinion, it's systemic. My symptoms started after starting birth control 50 years ago. I finally did lots of reading, and that's where I diagnosed myself. No help with any doctors. I tried CDs. I tried CDs and end up with severe die-off. CDs. Anyway, you tried CDs and you ended up with a severe die-off, and then diarrhea for 11 days. Messed me up. Not able to leave the house. Took many months not having to run to the bathroom. Wow. What was CDs? That was 5 years ago, and still with severe constipation. I believe now that I stopped the CDs too soon of being very ill. Okay. Someone help me. What's a CD? Anybody? Anybody know what a CD is? You guys? Hey, everybody in Instagram land. What the hell is a CD? Tell me. CDs. Uh, what are CDs? Anybody? CDs. So, cash deposits. What are CDs? Uh, look. Take a look at the Phoenix group, okay, Hammy. Tell me, is there's anything wrong with this picture here? Can't. Okay. Stephanie, Michael. Oh, lyrical chronic disease. Is that what CD is? Thank you. Boy, my God. Who's now? Stephanie Michael is recommending that you go to the Ever Well Herbal Clinic. And replying to Yulia, you recommend that Yulia go, and you recommend that Jennifer Jaworski goes, and you recommend that Shelly Castellano, you recommend that everybody goes to the Everwell Herbal Clinic. Whoops. Wow, what happened? Are we back on now? It just said that we are. Am I back on? It said I'm off. All right. All right. All right. So I don't know. Someone's saying CD is carbon dot. Somebody's saying it's what? Chronic disease. Whatever it is. Okay, let's just go back to the question because I'm going to go back to the question. Okay. So uh, uh, I took many months to run. That was 5 years ago and still have severe constipation. So you were having diarrhea, but now you have constipation and you think that you stopped the CDs too soon. The CDs. This doesn't sound like great. You didn't see a break. Okay, great. They're just trying to freak me out. Chlorine dioxide, is that it? Is it? I took the CDs. Oh, so please, you guys, from now on, don't use acronyms. Just say the word because I don't know where. I don't know. You took CDs. I don't know. I used to have a CD player. I used to play CDs. I don't know what you mean by CDs. I'm sad. Sorry. So please, you guys, don't use these things, okay? Um, oh, is that candida? No, I don't know. Okay, anyway, whatever. It's insane. So, so you thought you stopped the CDs too soon. You became ill. So much inflammation came again and again. It was so painful. It drew me off the toilet and laid down. Okay. One wonderful thing is it took away all the pain. You mean CBD? For many years I suffered. Doctor gave me 2 months of fluconazole plus nystatin, no help. Tried many essential oils. I know someone that has given mycophenolate IV and her candida is gone. I would love to be well. I know your institute is for CFC patients, but I'm looking for somewhere to go. Water fast. Hope you can help me, please. All right, very good. So, the beautiful thing is it sounds like you're ready to do what's necessary. And that's the beginning of healing. That's how healing begins. So, right, and especially the condition one's mind has to be in to say, I'll do anything to heal, means that your pain and suffering has done its job. And pain and suffering, the job of, I'm thinking it might be chlorine. Okay, so, um, and the job of pain and suffering is to get rid of all of our arrogance, to get rid of all of our presumptiveness, to get rid of our objections and resistance and negotiating and say, I can't, I don't know, I'll do whatever. And you completely open up to a world called health. And this is where God comes in and okay, so that's it. That's enough. So you've reached that place. It's beautiful. So you said you'll water fast, whatever you'll do. So yes, and whatever's going on with you, if you have a Candida albicans overgrowth, um, because Candida is albicans are part of our normal flora, so they're actually not. Uh, it's not like I'm being attacked by them. It's just that they found some parking places. Some people moved out and they moved in. And so who moved out were the ones we needed. So in other words, we lost the um, microorganisms that we need to have there because they weren't being fed. They weren't being fed because this depends on what you're eating, because what you're eating is what they're eating. So what you have for dinner is what they have for dinner, period. So if you've got a dysbiosis, you've got a problem with the relative proportions of microorganisms, it's because you're feeding that way. If you change the diet, then you'll be feeding other ones and not those, and that's just how it works. So yes, cleansing, water fasting, and water fasting is tremendous. Water fasting actually reestablishes uh, the the gut. It actually uh, uh, restores the integrity um, of the mucosal barrier in the gut. So leaky gut is healed by fasting and cleansing. Fasting actually heals it. It does. This is well published. Okay, so it does it in multiple ways, and and it allows for the restoration of a healthy gut biome. Can you imagine? Now you're not feeding it anything, but by not feeding them anything, you're allowing them to go back into the way that they're the most comfortable. So now when you eat again, once you re-eat again after you've done a water fast, that's when you eat only foods that are gonna maintain a healthy gut biome. And by the way, if you have a completely healthy, well-balanced gut biome, you're healthy. There can be nothing wrong with. There will be no discomfort at all. Okay, so yeah. So water fast. The only place I know of in the the divided states of America, is in Northern California in Santa Rosa. It's a place called True North. and they're pretty good. So that's the only place I know of in the US. There may be other ones. I mean, in the DS. Okay. Divided States of America. Anyway, um, and then regarding flugonazole and nystatin and all the other ones, you can get them online. There's various pharmacies. I'm sure someone will write it in the group, but uh, they're someone will write in the group. There we've and if you join our groups, you should join our group. Really, join this group, the parasite group, and we'll talk all about that. But there's amazing. The other members of the group have these incredible resources because they've been going through this a long time of where you can get just about anything without having to have without having to talk to any white coated warlocks or witches. So, and that's it. Water fast is the beginning of, I mean, the attitude, and then the water. You're on your way. You're on your way. All you got to do is not mess up again. All right. Ploy. Hi, Ploy. My name is Ploy. Swadika kun Ploy. Pu aim. Pu aim ben kai. Chu Ploy. Facebook. Okay, Ploy. Yinditi died up. Bone broth fasting. Anything you can get in bone broth, and look it up. Look out what's in bone broth. You can also get in, if you wanted to make a vegetable broth, you can get it all. And you don't have to have an animal killed. And then boil their bones. I don't know about that. I think I'd rather have vegetable broth and boiled bones. Who knows what's in them bones? Anyway, you don't have to eat. Believe me, you can get, and I know this might be a shock to many people, but you can actually be restored to health without eating corpses of any kind. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's called the corpseless diet. Corpseless diet. This corpseless diet actually works. It actually works. So please remember that. Corpseless. It's the CL diet. Corpseless. Corpseless. Now you can't. Anyway, understand that. All right. So what we want to do, Enola, is restore balance, get your gut healed, and restore balance, and it will all be healthy. Right? We need to balance your hormones. We need to balance every part of your body. Autonomic nervous system, get you out of sympathetic, because I know you're like stressed out from this. Of course, that's pretty normal response to having these kinds of problems. Absolutely normal. So we've got to work on all those levels, with dealing with the stress, with diet, with fasting, colon hydrotherapy. There's many things that need to be done. It's a full-on program. And the results is you're going to feel fantastic and be happy and optimistic and full of energy and have clarity, and all this stuff happens. So it's worth it. So join our group so I can talk to you. I want to talk to you. All right. Now this is I never left YouTube. Cool. So strange, because they kept saying, So Diane just came on. What's the best for gut health? First of all, cleansing, clean it out. Do a juice cleanse, then do a water fast, and then when you restore, go back to eat only human food, which is uncooked plants, fruit, nuts, and seeds. Eat in a 6-hour window. Stop eating 5 hours before sleep, and you're done. You're done. You're done. And learn to turn this guy off once in a while, lady. You've got a mad woman inside of you. I got a mad man inside of me. Uh, yeah. Okay. So now here, this is Maureen, and Maureen says that um, granddaughter born with tumor cysts in the right breast, 3 large cysts on top of hundreds of little ones. They're not fluid to be popped, no blood flow. Doctors injected antibiotic to shrink, barely shrinking them 2 years now. No good answers. Name for condition, looking for direction and possibilities to organically dissolve them. Maureen, where did you go to? What kind of doctors? I mean, my God, that's crazy. That's crazy. All right. So, anyway, it's not uncommon for babies. I mean, it's not common, but babies, both male and female, can be born with lumps or maybe one breast or both, but usually one, where it's a little lump and a mass. And this is due to what? The baby just came out of the womb of a woman whose hormones were on fire to have a baby. So all of these hormones, which have effect on breast tissue, have an effect. So 99% of the babies that are born with little lumps in their breasts it's going to resolve. You don't mess with it. And so what happens if you start rubbing it and all that sort of stuff? You traumatize it, it gets infected, and then you wind up with what's called a mastitis, an infection of the breast, right? And so if that's what happened, so then they inject antibiotics into it. You know, uh, yeah, I just find it. You know, you got to admit these guys are creative. I mean, they're creative. I mean, in a way, they're creative. On the other hand, they're not creative because they keep doing the same thing. Uh, Poke, cut, poison. I mean, it's insane. So you got a baby with one breast that is having a little bit has some lumps in it, and what are you going to do? It's well known that the mother's hormones will do that. It's well known. It can happen to male or female. But now, if it's been going on 2 years, that means they messed with it, and now this is a secondary situation. It's a secondary condition. It's not the primary. The primary would have gone away. Health. So the best thing you can do now is stop doing anything and let the baby be. You know, give the baby healthy food. You know, it's probably off breast milk. I hope the baby was breastfed, and I hope the mother was feeding herself human food. And so, but 2 years now. So, and then just leave that baby. Leave it. Don't give it any drugs. Babies don't need drugs. And you have to do all kinds of testing and all that stuff. Just assume that God actually knows what it's doing. She's doing it. In other words, understand that the intelligent design of all that is, the underlying fabric of existence, which is intelligence, which is God, which is how it all happens, um, is pretty smart. And it's going to work out. It's going to work out. And if you can just leave it alone. All right. So we find that we heal when we get out of the way. When we stop intervening, healing is what happens. It's a hardwired process into all biology. And it's what we were talking about previously about homeostasis and all this stuff. So we're not talking about anything different at this point. Okay, so it's always the same thing. So they injected antibiotic to make it shrink. Yo, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. My God. So anyway, that's for your granddaughter. So Believe me, make sure the mother's healthy and the baby's eating, you know, carrots, celery, avocados. Um, you can blend up raw broccoli, and you can get raw broccoli, blend it up with get some raw almond butter or raw cashew butter or some other good butter, uh, fresh uncooked raw, butter, um, pumpkin seed butter. Doesn't matter. Blend it all up and a little bit of water, and it's delicious. The baby will love it. Uh, um, and you can blend up spinach and avocado and a little bit of lemon, and you've got a delicious, and it's soft and it's full of extremely nutritious, and it's real food. The body will recognize it. You can make babies healthy just by giving them a chance to be healthy, and don't put things into them. They don't need drugs or chemicals. They need smiles and love and activity and sunlight and good sleep, and they need to be eating food that the earth produced. Okay, not food that was produced in a laboratory called the kitchen. Kitchen's a laboratory. It's where they thermally degenerate food. Yeah, thermally degenerate healthy food substances. I've got some organic tomatoes here, but I boiled the shit out of them. Now I got, all right, great. That's a good tomato sauce. Mm, mm. You think it's as nutritious as the tomatoes were? Yeah, yeah. But I simmered them a long time. Got more lycopene. Got more lycopene. I can prove that. All right, you can prove it's got more lycopene. Now tell me where I can find a lycopene tree. Because if lycopene is so important, we must have trees that are pure lycopene. We don't. What do we get? We get lycopene mixed with beta carotene, gamma carotene, lutein, tocopherols, tocotrienols, uh, 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 phytoestrogens. It's in there. Fiber, ascorbates, thiamine. It's all B12, cobalamin. It's all mixed up together in a beautiful amalgamation that is perfect sustenance for humans. That does not require thermal degeneration. This does not take brilliance. This takes no brilliance. Get rid of your brilliance, get rid of your intelligence, relax and let your mind open your eyes, and you say, oh, gosh, that's true. That makes sense. It grew that way. I guess I can eat it that way. Oh my God, is that true? You mean I can eat this? You better cook it. You better give it up because there's bacteria, there's microorganisms. Yeah, you don't know. I wish what I was saying was like not spot on, but they say that. Do you know he's on chemotherapy? I don't think you should have any fresh vegetables or fruits because of the bacteria. All you should want to do with these people is um, have have tonguectomies, take out remove their tongues and insert them into their rectums, because that's where they need. That's how they need to be. Okay, that way they can. It'll be a benefit to the world because you won't have to hear them. Anyway, none of that's true. None of that's true. So the bacteria and the microorganisms that we are exposed to is how our immune system develops competence. When we look at studies of children born in what we call unfavorable conditions, like the ghetto and poverty, and we find that their immune systems are stronger than the middle class and the upper class. Why? Because they're exposed to all kinds of stuff, and their immune systems are powerful. They don't have eczema and atopy and all these, white boy syndromes. They don't have that. They have strong immune system. And if you're going to get colostrum, because I want colostrum, it's an immune, you're going to get colostrum from where? I'm going to get it from a cow. Why are you going to get it from a cow? Because the cow has its face in the dirt all day long, and it has a powerful immune system because it has to. So you want a powerful immune system, make it work out. Okay, you want some strong muscles? Work out. You want a strong mind? Read, debate. You can have a strong mind. You want a strong immune system? Let it get exposed. Anyway, Maureen, you and your daughter take care of the baby and give it sunshine, rest, play, and real food. Chew on carrots. Chew on, so if she's teething, that's a great thing. Carrots. Okay, now this is Mark. And my daughter has a soft tissue sarcoma. She's been going for chemotherapy treatment and is approximately halfway through this treatment. I am concerned for her health and her well-being and her state of mind. We are looking at vermin and fenbendazole for a starting point, along with proper nutrition and possibly having her body in a slightly alkaline state. What advice can you give me for her? So the protocol I'm thinking of for her is a 7-day fast with essential minerals from sea salt. After we break the fast, the plan would be to take ivermectin paste, 0.75 grams per day for a 170-pound female, and a 7 milliliter dose of Pancure Equine Guard, oral suspension for 5 days, on 4 days off. My daughter means everything to me now. Do anything. Hard time keeping herself with all the confusion. Regards, Mark. Okay, UK. Okay, Mark. So good. I'm so happy your daughter has you for a father. That's fantastic because you're recognizing all this stuff that's going on, and yeah. So now a soft tissue sarcoma. Well, all right. So just a reminder, Mark. What excuse me, what a soft tissue sarcoma is. It's so all of the sarcoma means is that it's a CFC, a chronically fermenting group of cells called a tumor that begins in tissues that originated in the mesoderm of the embryo. So the embryo has an endoderm, mesoderm, ectoderm. An inside, a middle, and an outside is basically what it has. So if it comes from the middle part, it's called a sarcoma. And the middle part includes bones, muscles, the joints, cartilage, connective tissue, all this stuff. So it can be a bone, which they call an osteosarcoma, or it can be rhabdomyosarcoma, which is from muscle. It can be, it could be chondrosarcoma. It can arise from cartilage. So anything that it arises is how it gets its name. So soft tissue would mean non-bony. Any of the other tissues that it would arise from would be that are non-bony, non-hard. That's a soft tissue sarcoma. It's still what it is aerobic glycolysis, like we discussed before. That's what it is, period. It's just that it started here. And if it started in tissues that it derived from the outside, called the ectoderm, or the inside, the endoderm, then it would be called a carcinoma. That's all. It's just terminology, which has one purpose, and that is, and they're quite successful with that purpose, and that is to keep you completely confused. And they've done it. They've got you what? Yeah, and you're sadly your daughter's confused and all that stuff. So the proper nutrition is yes, and so you should know by now. You and your daughter need to join the CFC group. Period. Okay, you got a sarcoma, join the CFC group. Go to drlodi.com, drlodi.com, and find the CFC group and join it. One of you joins it, and then you're both there. So join it. You'll have 2 meetings with me a week. Dialogue, talking. You'll get advice from 1,000 other brilliant people, loving, brilliant people. You'll have teaching from uh, the best of the best, and you'll have the emotional aspect of fear, which I can sense in you, in Kathy's Corner, which will be available to you if you're a CFC. So in Kathy's Corner, you'll be able to share with other people that are going through this similar situation, right? And of course, we're afraid. Of course, it's freaking us out. Of course, that's like, there's a guy with a gun over there. And I'm going to say, I'm not worried. No, because when they tell you you've got this thing, they just told you you're going to die. So they got you freaked. We're going to unfreak you. Kathy's Corner is the unfreak corner, the defreaking. Well, defreaking corner. Yeah. Anyway, so, but all of that. So join, and then we'll really help you out, because there's a lot of questions I have about what you're doing, because you're right. Proper nutrition and all that stuff. I love the fact that you're talking about beginning it all with a cleanse and a fast. That sounds beautiful. I'd like to help you with that and give you some direction in it, depending on where she's at. Now, you say she's 170 pounds. It sounds kind of heavy for a female, unless she's very tall. So I didn't get her height, so I don't know if that means. But if she's that big and she's like the standard height of a woman, from anywhere from 5'2" to 5'6", is that? I don't know. Then that would be heavy, kind of, and which might mean metabolic problems. Not might mean, which means there are metabolic problems associated with that kind of weight, because it's fat. It's fat. It's not muscle. I'm sure that she's not like one of those female bodybuilders, right? Yeah. So it's probably fat, and that fat is going to contribute to the metabolic dysfunction of the body, and that's all that underlying stuff is going to prevent all this all the healing from happening. And yes, the ideas of the ivermectin and the fenbendazole are great, but you can get them without being in paste and stuff like that. You can just get some pills and stuff like that, and there are places you can do that. For example, at our if you contact hello@drlodi.com, hello@drlodi.com, my assistant can help you get some of these things. But anyway, so Mark, you're really on the right track, and if your daughter's like, has the same, if she's saying, yes, Dad, you're right, I want to do this, then perfect. If she's resisting it, it'll be difficult. But so anyway, let's do this, Mark. But you're really on the right thing, and I don't want you to be freaked out by all their names. But right now they're poisoning her, and I promise you, poison does not allow for health. Poison is not the way to heal. This is uncommon sense. Uncommon sense. Imagine this. Suppose I were to give these chemotherapeutic drugs to you, or to me, or to anybody who's just like the average person who's walking around who's got no real problems, and you give them this chemotherapy. What will happen? They'll get sick. They're not going to feel good. Okay, so now we just gave this poison to a healthy person who then they don't feel good. They're sick from it. So how do we make this leap, this jump to think, well, now if I give it to a sick person, they're going to get well? You realize the madness. But that's why the Rockefeller exists. That's the genius of Rocky and the gang. They got us believing things that we know can't possibly be true, but we're doing it. That's how powerful these guys are. Yeah, if they weren't if they weren't more severe than evil, they deserve a standing ovation because of what they've done. All right. you're on the absolute beautiful right track. trlodi.com, join the CFC group, and let's get her off that train and get her on the train to paradise, the train to health, healing, where we're all on that train. That's all the train that we're all on. It's the train to health, to healing, to living life fully and loving it. That's what the train we're all really on. Okay. Now, here's Dolores. This is my first session. I'm on a journey to heal my dad from lung CFCs. Medical doctor noted nodules back in the lungs in 2016 that followed with many testing years later. Doctors didn't ever tell my dad as to why she was sending him for tests. Yeah, why tell him? Yeah, he's just a patient. Just go over there and do that. And then when you're done, go over there and do that. And don't ask any questions, you patient. Yeah, I'm familiar with that. And in July 2024, these tests became more rapid. What? So we went from 2016 up to 2024, all just testing, not knowing why. And in 2024, July, they came up with an actual diagnosis of CFCs present and advising him on the phone in November of 2024 that he had CFCs. As his daughter, they kept this from me and had completed 2 biopsies before my involvement. A third biopsy had to be completed, but was evasive, and my dad held off due to surgery complications from opening him up for 3 biopsies. Fast forward to February 2025, I had my dad do a metal detox in December, prior to my dad's cancer diagnosis, CFC diagnosis. I had knowledge of ivermectin and fenbendazole and its cure for CFCs, but due to living in Ontario, Canada, I had no source or knowledge of how to obtain the product of treatment. I located fenbendazole from Lithuania and sourced ivermectin from India. I got my dad on both, but still just from my research. I had him take 6 ivermectin, then take fenbendazole for 6 days. My dad decided to do chemo, and he's been very ill from it. He lost mobility, and mental health was declining. He's gone from walking with a cane to a walker due to lack of energy. He finally got his last PET scan results, and he's gone 1 spot with CFCs. I need to purchase ivermectin, but due to the tariffs and border issues, I'm not able to import ivermectin from India. My dad changed his diet 100% when diagnosed with CFCs. He no longer eats sugar or processed food. Can you help me, please? My dad wants to live, and I need sources for ivermectin and mebendazole. We live in Canada, and I need this product and guidance on treatment. I do have CFC naturopath in dealing with that lives in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. But he doesn't know averaging about parasites treatment for CFCs. All right, Dolores. Wow. All right, so they messed around with him from 2016 to 2025 and then told him he had CFCs. And then they wanted to poison him, and they poisoned him, and he doesn't feel good about being poisoned. He's feeling sick, and he's lost his mobility and all that sort of thing. So the obvious thing that you will do, and he will do clearly, and I don't even have to say it, do I? I have to say it? Shouldn't have to say it. But I will. Because I'm a sayer. I like to say things. Stop doing the poison. He doesn't feel good from it. Stop it. Well, maybe he's getting better. No. Getting better is not you do not demonstrate restoration of health by becoming weaker and losing mobility and mental health declining. That's not it. Okay. So ivermectin and fenbendazole, yes, and you can You're in Canada, so I'm not. I don't know about Canada. I know that you can contact, um, my hello at drlodi.com, hello at drlodi.com, and see if we can help in any way get it there. I know there are some pharmacies, a couple pharmacies in the U.S. that. Hi, Leona, Yosha. Um, that you can get them from too, and so please again join the groups because you have all these resources. I don't, know all the resources off the top of my head of the different pharmacies and all that sort of thing. But go to our website, drlodi.com, and you'll find a lot of stuff on there. But your dad can definitely be healed. You've got to quickly stop poisoning him. Not you. Don't let them. Don't let the witches and warlocks poison him. All right. I promise you, poison does not produce health. It's hard to believe. Hard to believe. I know. I get it. But just leap of faith there. CFCs, Don. Okay, CFCs, chronically fermenting cells, which are really what's happening to the cells in a tumor. Okay, they call it by an astrological term, right? Virgo, Leo, Gemini, and some people call it Cancer. Cancer. Okay. It's not. It's not an astrological sign. These are chronically fermenting cells. That's what they are. So we call them that because that's what they are. They're not an astrological sign. So that's what they are. And also, now that you have information, you know what they are. You can deal with it. How did they become fermenting? Now you have you can develop a methodology for dealing with it. Okay, I'm glad you asked the question. All right. And now, so your poor dad. Now, and, the cool thing is he changed his diet 100%. But 100%, I'm not sure because you just mentioned that he stopped eating sugar and processed foods. That's a fantastic beginning, but it's got to be a lot more than that. So really need to get you on here. Okay, so Dolores, please join. And okay, so here we are. Well, this is with Iva. Eva. Hello, my daughter was on antibiotics for acne, then got C. diff straight 7 days after completing the course, and CMV infection was also found. All this, I think, caused severe ulcerative colitis. They put her on biologics. Which is not working totally, maybe to some extent. What do I do to heal her gut? I'm sorry, I don't know what you mean by biologics. So she was on antibiotics and she got C. diff. C. diff is Clostridia difficile, which is an opportunistic bacteria that causes all kinds of rectal bleeding, diarrhea, and stuff like that. So then they give you another antibiotic to get rid of that. You've got to just restore a healthy biosis, a healthy gut biome, and we know how to do that. And especially with, if your daughter's got leaky gut, which most people do, you can heal that. You heal that with fasting, and then you heal that, for a period of time. So the fasting, the water fasting is, it's pretty amazing. So you understand too that when a person is water fasting, you're resting the gut. If you have a sprained ankle, you're not going to run. You're going to elevate it and rest it, and it will heal. So when we allow a damaged organ, to rest, it can heal. It heals. That's what it does. It repairs itself. Okay. So during a water fast, what the body does is it repairs by engaging in autophagy, meaning that it starts eating up all the unnecessary stuff and eliminating it, right? And So it gets rid of, you know, organisms that it doesn't need. It gets rid of toxins and things. It just cleans all that stuff out, right? And then therefore the body doesn't need to heal from the chronic irritation from these guys. So that healing is inflammation. So inflammation goes down, right? And then when that happens, then the repair is that the gut will repair itself. All right. So it helps. So the fasting allows for the gut to repair itself, to heal, and it allows for the wait a minute. Wait a minute. Okay, so Hammy and gang and the gang. What do we see? All right, are we here? Yeah, we're here. I don't know what happened. Of course. So, hey, Instagram, you didn't know that, but everybody else, we got lost for a while there. So pretty crazy. Um, so is a question here: is it good to use ivermectin during a water fast? And absolutely not. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You don't need to use anything during a water fast. During a water fast, you are allowing the body to do what divine. It will divinely correct everything. It's crazy. It's incredible. It's beautiful. Okay. Anyway, we're back. I don't know how we got off and all that sort of. I don't know where. Yeah, but I'm back. I hope everyone sees that now. All right, cool. So we're back on. And what time is it? And we got 3 minutes. Yay. Okay. Anyway, let's not stop. Let's not stop. Let's keep going wherever we can. Now, so they put her on biologics, whatever the hell that is, and you don't need to. I don't need to know and all that sort of thing. But what you need to do is what we've talked about before. By doing the water fasting, your gut will heal. So she's got to be willing to do that. And then eat healthy food, which is real food, which is organic plant. Eat it within a 6-hour window and stop eating 5 hours before sleep. Very simple. And don't eat other than that. And you're going to eat seeds and nuts and nut butters and seed butters, and you're going to eat, salads, and you're going to eat, there's delicious, wonderful uncooked foods. that are fantastic. Raw foods, they call them. But they're fantastic and they're delicious, and you'll have a healthy gut biome. Yes, 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 yes. And hopefully your daughter still has her appendix because she'll get restoration of her healthy gut flora more quickly. All right. Well, in that case, how long? Water fast? Well, as long as she can, a minimum of a week for her, and then again later on. But as long as she can, the longer it'll heal. But you got to be drinking lots of water during that time. You got to be drinking at least 3 liters a day, and then twice a day you get like a half to a full teaspoon of a good healthy sea salt, and you put it in a half a glass of water, swish it around, and drink it. So twice a day, so you can get a good amount of those electrolytes. Okay, very, 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 very important. Okay. Um, Now, this is Sue. The next one is I have been suffering from burning mouth syndrome for over 8 years, eating a healthy diet, working on stress reduction, and being active. What holistic measures can be implemented to reverse this? Increased pain at night is associated with an increased heart rate. Can this lead to oral CFCs? Well, okay, so burning mouth syndrome, very bizarre that it actually got a name, but they're going to name anything, right? Uh, yeah, yeah, yeah. They got a name for this stuff. It's just amazing. So, just for those who might not be aware of it, burning mouth syndrome is basically um, affects the tongue, mostly, but can affect anywhere else in the mouth, and it feels like the mouth is burning. And the lips, the gums, the roof of the mouth, everywhere it feels like it's burning. Like it was scalded. If you scalded it with like you drank really hot water or eat something really hot with cheese, like a pizza, and burn the top of your mouth, whatever. But as a result, you lose loss of taste. Things taste like metallic and yeah, just not very good. And then you can wind up with a stinging and a numbness and everything. And it's they call it burning mouth syndrome. And then of course there's secondary burning mouth syndrome, which is even crazier. And that is basically coming from something else, like you're having a dry mouth, you're not getting enough nutrients, you have allergies and stuff like that. So there's all kinds of reasons that can result in it. But fundamentally, even though they say that they don't know what it is, uh, it is neurological. Why do we say that? Because we have tingling, numbness, burning. Those are all neurological. They're not. It's neurologically mediated symptoms. So we know it's neurological. And so we've got to think of the, cranial nerve 5, which is pretty much in there a lot. Cranial nerve 5 is right in there with tongue and jaw and all that. So we have to look at cranial nerve 5, maybe cranial nerve 7 might be involved. But those are really what needs to be evaluated. So what you do in this situation and any situation similar is cleanse. Because obviously toxins have overridden everything and are affecting us neurologically. So we have to get rid of the toxins, first of all. We've got to do a good, thorough detoxification. Okay? Good, thorough detoxification. Very, very important. It's essential. So I would do a juice cleanse, a green juice cleanse, celery, cucumber, kale, spinach, lemon and green apple, or a red apple, doesn't matter. Make it taste good, or pineapple, whatever. Make it taste good, and drink 3-4 liters a day. Stop eating and just do that for like 2 weeks, and just cleanse 2 weeks, 3 weeks, as long as you can, and cleanse. And you're going to see everything get better. Get your colon cleaned out. Go to sleep early by 9 o'clock. Just do this. I promise you, it's going to start to get better. Just do it, and then let me know. Come back. Join our group. Join the Health and Healing group. Okay, it's the least costly of all of them. Go to drlodi.com, drlodi.com. Join Health and Healing. Okay, I want to see you there. Okay, I'm expecting to see you there. Okay, Sue. All right, you folks, guys, ladies, and everyone else, boys and girls, even the embryos that are in there listening. Thank you for coming this week, and I'll see you next week. And if you're in the groups, I'll see you tomorrow and your Wednesday, my Thursday. Anyway, fantastic, wonderful. And we didn't get too many technical nonsense this time, so thank the gods of IT, the gods of electromagnetic frequencies. Yeah. Swadikap. Namaste, namaskar, and aloha to everyone.